Hello everyone, what a funny episode it was again, or I had so much fun during those tasks, and I also spotted some hints and theories for us to discuss about, and I would say we just do that right now. So let's start with the name of the episode, and that was Zwijgen, which means to remain silent. There is no single word translation for it in English, but it basically means that you don't say anything. And there are some things that happen during that episode that we can relate to the name of the episode. The first thing that I recognized was that Fresia was very silent during the breakfast in the beginning of the episode. We could see her on the bottom left corner and she was very focused when eating her croissant. She kept chewing on it very harshly and she also took one bite after another. I really had the feeling that she didn't want to be involved in any discussions about yogurts or tests and executions. And she also didn't say anything during the first task. So she really remained silent for quite some time during that episode. We also didn't get to see Arno during the breakfast, we only saw his back, but I just found that this was kind of an obvious thing leading to Fresia, especially because she looked directly into the camera 2 or 3 times during the breakfast while remaining silent, so yeah, probably a hint to a very quiet mole. The second thing about this whole Remain Silent episode title is that there is a saying in Dutch, which is spreken is silver, zwijgen is goud. And that translates to talking is silver, but silence is golden. And during that second task we had some golden balloons. I was really a bit confused when Rick explained the task and kept saying golden balloons, because to me they were obviously yellow. But well, if we kind of connect the color of the balloons to the name of the episode, then it could fit and it could be a reason why he kept calling them golden. Definitely let me know if you thought that those balloons were golden or yellow, or if it's just my weird interpretation of colors probably, because to me they were definitely yellow and it was a bit weird that he kept them golden, so it really could be a hint. But what does that hint mean? Well, it could mean that the mole was one of those people who let one of the golden balloons pop. Well, there were obviously 2 people who were supposed to prick those golden balloons, and that were those who were in the last teams. So it was Arno and Everon. And for the mole it would be quite risky to be in that team actually, because all eyes are focused on him, and this is not something you want to have as a mole, especially not in the second episode. And this is also what the old mole class told us yesterday in the so-called Mole Talk, which is the Dutch TV show in which they discuss about what happened in the episode. But there were also some other people who pricked golden balloons by accident or not. I think one of those were Kim Lian, and probably Thomas also hit one, I'm not sure about that. But we all know that Thomas did something very weird, which we will talk about when we come to the second task. A third theory about the name of the episode is that during the breakfast they talked about who had jokers in the last test, and Velvet still had 1 left, and of course she didn't tell the others that, so she basically kept silent about it, and yeah, that could be a hint to her. And the fourth option about the name of the episode is that at the end of the episode, when we see them taking the test, they usually tell us who they suspect. And this time we didn't see quite so many people telling us that, so maybe one of those who kept silent about their, suspicions could be the mole. Now off to the tasks, and I really enjoyed those this time. The first one was so funny. It reminded me a bit of the task in Georgia where they had to do this circus little games, so it was quite fun. Nevertheless, there were also some weird things happening during that task. The first thing is that Kim Lian took a really big sip out of that bottle, which they were supposed to fill up. Did you recognize that? It was really weird, especially because the second group was still waiting behind them and could have still filled up that bottle, and even if there wasn't a second group, it did not make sense to take a sip out of that bottle, and it would be really interesting what kind of weird red liquid that was at all. The second thing is that there was a little task with socks, and Arno is really fashion interested and talks about fashion on Dutch TV, so maybe a little hint to Arno, although this could always be, well, yeah, socks. We all wear socks, right? Nevertheless, I thought Arno was so funny during that task. Did you see him throw that little ball like that? And it just fell down right away. It was so much fun. Another big hint, I think, is connected to the dices. They had to throw the dices so that in the end the one would be seen on the top of the dice. And in Dutch this is called op één, so on one. And Welmoed, who is the presentator, has a show called op één. Another thing about Kim Lian, did you see her take those feathers? And instead of just taking a few, she like raised them all around, quite dramatically. And just like the bottle move, very obvious. I'm really not sure if a mole would do that right in front of all of the others. But yeah, maybe she's a very dramatic mole. Oh, and one more thing about Arno and the, well, balls. He had both hands covered in honey, while the other ones were at least more or less clever enough to like only cover one hand with it. And for the mole it would also be very clever to take the balls with very high numbers, with a high worth of money, to just take them and let them fall. Off to the second task. We've already talked about the golden balloons, but I promised you to, well, say a little sentence about Thomas. And yeah, I mean, it was a kind of weird thing to do that. He pricked balloons during the first round, in which they were actually just supposed to stand on that car and get a feeling on how it is to be on top of a car. Well, if you ask me, then he's just a candidate who tries to mole, and yeah, that wasn't the cleverest mole action, I think. Last but not least, task number 3, and here we have some more or less quite obvious hints, I think. So the first funny team, of course, was Welmoed and Sahil Or. They are so both busy with mulling around and teasing each other. They could both be moles, but they could also both be candidates who try to mull around a bit, because Sahil is like totally chilled, taking everything relaxed, and this is a mole tactic to just slow down things, but also Welmoed with her very hectic, very fast talking, making fast movements, confusing everyone else. This is also a very common mole tactic. So yeah, this is, well, both possible. Nevertheless, Welmoed said she would keep the instrument and how it is positioned on the photo in her mind, and then she tells that man from Albania to position it right the other way. So it was almost correct. Just a little bit more to the top right corner and it would have been perfect, but she tells him to turn it around completely. Could be a mole action, but also Sahil is very eager on listening to her, and he basically grabs that instrument out of the man's hands and turns it around. And let's be honest, even if he said that he would keep the audio details in mind, this instrument was so clear on that photo. It was the center of the photo. You just recognize that no matter if it's your task or not. And then it would also be very convenient for a mole if she says it, but he helps to mole around. Another thing about that task, of course, was Kim Lian again, who didn't recognize her picture as the only one in the group. Everybody else recognized the pictures. So yeah, it could be that she didn't recognize the Swedish flag, but it could also be like a move from a mole to just ignore their own picture so that less money is owed. And in general, it's a really interesting question in which of those groups you would like to be as a mole, because the mole picked out all those details in the beginning, and of course he knew what was supposed to be on the photos and what not. So it would be interesting for the mole to be in one of those photo groups. And also Frisia and Thomas did a very good job in their light painting group, so that didn't really give us any hints to those both. So quite a lot of things going on again, hidden hints, obvious hints, theories. No number plays this time, but I'm sure the WIDM-App community will find some number plays somehow anyways. And if you have seen any hint or if you have any theory which I haven't mentioned, then please share it with us, write a comment, and let's talk about who could be the mole. I'm sure that there will be some more hints coming up over the next days, so I will upload another 3 quick hints video in the end of the upcoming week, so on Friday most likely, just like last week, and giving you like 3 short quick hints right one day, or let's say 2 days if you're an international, before you can watch the next episode. And if you don't want to miss that video or any upcoming hints and theory videos, then don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and if you would like to discuss a little with us, then you can also join our Facebook group. And if you have the WIDM-App app, you can still join our internationals pool. And until the next video, I wish you so much fun figuring out who the mole is. Bye!